Hack the Entrepreneur is part of Rainmaker FM, the digital business podcast network. Find more great shows and education at rainmaker.fm. Hack the Entrepreneur is supported by Citi Cards with Android Pay. Listening on your phone? Now you can pay while you listen using the same device. Just tap and go. Download the Android Pay app on Google Play or visit citi.com/androidpay to get started. Android Pay is available for eligible Citi consumer credit and debit cards.
Welcome to Hack the Entrepreneur, the show which reveals the fears, habits, and inner battles behind big-name entrepreneurs and those on their way to joining them. Now here is your host, John Naster.
Hey, this is Hack the Entrepreneur. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am your host, John Naster, but you can call me Johnny. My guest today is a speaker, traveler, and a serial entrepreneur. He's a co-founder and president at Skinny & Co., a coconut oil company aiming to give families a healthy, chemical-free lifestyle and household by creating the healthiest products, services, and technologies on the planet. Previously, he was the founder of OpportunityAddicts.com and co-founder at OriginalBOS. He is an expert in both the domestic and international supply chain, manufacturing, marketing, health, and trade markets. Now, let's hack Matt Geddie. Hack the Entrepreneur is sponsored by Citi Cards with Android Pay. How cool is it that we live in a world where you can use the same device to listen to Hack the Entrepreneur and buy your morning coffee, groceries, and more? And did I mention that it's a super fast way to pay? Just use your Citi card with Android Pay at the register. Get in, get it, get going. Download the Android Pay app on Google Play or visit citi.com/androidpay to get started. Android Pay is available for eligible Citi consumer credit and debit cards. We are back with another episode of Hack the Entrepreneur, and today we have a very, very special guest. Matt, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, John. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely my pleasure, and I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Is it Matt or Matthew? I should clarify that right now.
Matt's perfectly fine. Shorter the better, sweeter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, let's do it. Matt, as an entrepreneur, can you tell me, what is the one thing that you do that you feel has been the biggest contributor to your successes so far?
I think the one thing that I do that brings kind of the biggest success so far is basically just positivity. I kind of make it a goal day in and day out to basically just be as positive as possible for me, for the team, for the staff, for the company, and just kind of bring in the energy each and every day. Because I think, as an entrepreneur running a business, and everyone who's done the same thing can kind of understand that there's a roller coaster. There's highs, there's lows, there's ups, there's downs. And the one thing I think you can always control is your attitude and kind of how you approach it all. And so I think the business world tries to basically beat you down, but as long as you can kind of just stay above that and stay positive and know that if you don't know what to do, you just do the next thing. I think that's kind of where our successes come from, is basically just always being persevering and just staying as positive as you possibly can, kind of through thick and thin.
Yeah. And so when you say you don't know what to do, just do the next thing, absolutely sage advice. So is this sort of how, or let me say you don't know what to do literally for 5 days straight or a week straight or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever it happens to be. How do you keep that positivity up when you're just kind of like totally going through a gray area that you don't know where the end is? Well, because it's easy to stay positive when shit's going well. It's like, oh, this is easy. Or when one little thing goes wrong, it's like, oh, I can look past that. But when, you know what I mean? When there's a long stretch of like either unknown or sort of bad things happening, how do you keep that positivity for your team and for yourself?
I think it's literally just trying to reach in and just looking at even just the smallest glimmer of hope. I think our whole key and our whole goal at Skinny Company is our mission, which is to create the healthy products and healthy people change the world. And so that's kind of the whole aspect. And so I make it more of just a mental note whenever I wake up in the morning and I kind of start my morning routine to myself. It's just putting myself in that mindset. I may wake up and I'm like, this is miserable. Like, what am I, like, I think every entrepreneur's always had that moment of like, what am I doing? And a lot of times you probably have that moment once every 3 months of, holy shit, what are we doing?
Yeah.
What do we get ourselves into? But it's basically just having that connection. And like I said, it's just trying to control that aspect. And even though it sucks, and yeah, I mean, there's been months, I mean, probably 6 months at a time, it was just like this, I just don't think this could get worse, and it just gets worse and it gets worse and it gets worse. But I think always just trying to say, hey, you know what? We're doing something that I haven't done before. And so that's cool. So as long as we're continuing to do that, I mean, even if it's a major failure, the bottom falls out, everything is a disaster, we're still doing something that's impacting people in a positive light. And we're still having something where we have products that really make people feel better. And so I think one of the ways to keep positive too is sometimes, I mean, I think customer reviews and customer testimonials. I mean, I think maybe it was something that even you said, if you can sell one thing to at least 100 people, you have a viable business. And so I think those are the little tidbits that you can kind of lean back on and kind of hold into reserves of when things are terrible and it's hard to be positive. Those are things you can look back on and say, hey, you know what? Actually, we are doing something cool. We are doing something unique. We do have a community, even though it's not 1 million people. We do have a community of 10 or 15,000 people that really like our product. They like what we're doing, and we're making an impact. And so I think those are the ways that you can try to stay positive. And those are kind of the things I do in the morning. But almost just count your blessings, and then hopefully one of those blessings clicks and turns and lets you have a positive attitude in the morning. But yeah, it's definitely not easy. I mean, it's just kind of a commitment. And I don't do it. I mean, obviously I don't do it every day. Sometimes I'll walk in to work and I'm moping and I'm like, oh, what's going on? But it's more just, yeah, I mean, just kind of like, suck it up, Matt, like get over yourself and basically try to go out there and change the world.
Nice. I love it. It's a great vision to have. And 10 or 15,000 fans around you is massive, man. So just remember that next time it is a hard day.
Oh, thanks.
But this idea of wanting to change the world. So let's go back, because you are a serial entrepreneur. Skinny & Company is not your first endeavor in business at this point. But let's go back, because upon looking back, there seems to be this time in every entrepreneur's life when they realize one of two things. That either they have this calling to make this huge difference in the world, which you do now with Skinny & Company, or else they find that they simply cannot work for somebody else anymore. So can you tell me what side of the fence you saw yourself on when this started, and then also take us back to that time, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, still entrepreneur. It's a great terminology. I also call myself an opportunity addict, just because that's basically what it is trying to stay focused on just all the different things that you see. It's always been, working for other people is fine. I think as an entrepreneur, you always work for other people because you're working for your customer. And so, people are like, oh, how's it feel to not have a boss? I'm like, well, I've got 10,000 people that I could very easily piss off and who could just basically call me and yell at me. So that's even worse than just having one person to report to. But it's the bigger change, the bigger aspect. I think when I was traveling in Asia and we started Balls of Steel, that was kind of the whole aspect of, I had a personal struggle growing up. I was sick for a long time. It was natural food and natural kind of living that kind of brought me back. And so it was kind of through that transition where it was like, okay, well, I made it through that. I didn't die. Let me live my life or try to do something bigger. And so I think that was just kind of the switch of, let me go do something that's different. Let's go educate people. Let's show people that there's healthy food, healthy living, there's healthy products. Let's start a vertically integrated company as a small business. And that was a terrible idea, but it's been super fun all the way along.
That was a terrible idea, but
we've been able to hopefully make it work and make it continue to work for the past 3 years. But I think that was the switch of, basically, I was kind of faced with a life or death situation. I was sick for a long time. Through just holistic living and healing, I brought myself back. Well, obviously my family and things like that as well, and the community around me. And that was kind of the switch of, all right, well, let's go do something else, because I've already experienced what it's like to be on the other side. So let's go do something that we're going to make people healthier. We're going to get them healthier products and really have a passion and mission behind it. And that's kind of what's driven us all along. And is it nice not to have to clock in at 9 to 5? Absolutely. But I think, you yourself as an entrepreneur, you work all the time. It's just, you're just not working all the time. You're just available all the time. So.
Right. Well, or, like you say, as I love that term, opportunity addict. It's basically a synonym for being an entrepreneur, but it's true. Like, if you're not working, your brain's always going. Like, if you're having coffee somewhere, it seems like we're always sort of analyzing the business around us and like trying to figure out like how they work. Or at least that's what I do. And I know tons of friends who do. And it's kind of like we're always sort of just in that mindset.
Mhm.
It's not just like, Kate, turn it off. It's 5:00. Time to go and play soccer. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Although I like to do that too. But so was Balls of Steel was your first endeavor?
Yeah, so Balls of Steel was the first thing I started myself. It was with my buddy Grant Vollmer. He still runs it out in Southern California. Before that, my older brother and I, who now is my partner at Skinny & Company, we actually had an online textbook business when I was in high school. So when I was 14, we imported textbooks from Thailand and we sold them online on like half.com and eBay when that was first kind of getting going. And then one of the major textbook publishers actually brought a lawsuit against us because they thought we were pirating textbooks. We weren't, but I got served when I was 16 years old with this really big lawsuit. And I think once I realized I was a 16-year-old kid living in my mother's house, they dropped the lawsuit just because I didn't have anything to my name. But that was kind of the first experience of running my own company. But it wasn't something I started, something my brother started that I kind of took over. And then Balls of Steel was the first venture that we started from the ground up, build a product, brought it to market, and I started building customers and a community. And then from Balls of Steel, we transitioned into Skinny & Company.
Nice. I love it. I love that your first business endeavor ended just with a lawsuit. It's like, okay, well, I guess we'll stop that one.
Yep. No.
But yeah, that's definitely serial entrepreneur because you were one of those people that was always trying to figure out just how to like basically do commerce and make money, which is pretty cool. So
yeah, it's super exciting.
It is totally. And so your one thing is positivity, keeping yourself going day in and day out through the highs and the lows, and keeping your team sort of motivated and moving forward. So every blog post now, every expert talks about the 80-20 rule in business, Matt. They say you're supposed to do what you're good at and you're supposed to delegate the rest. Matt, can you tell me something that you are absolutely not good at in your business?
This is going to sound ironic, but I'm actually not good at delegating. Absolutely terrible at delegating. Other than that, I am not a good writer. And so that is kind of the number one thing I think as starting the business and just being able to write the copy and kind of just portray exactly what I'm trying to think and what we're trying to write, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. When we first started the company, that was our first hire was we need to find somebody who actually can write something in a legible, grammatically correct way to be able to push out so you don't look like we're just a bunch of jokers who are selling coconut oil. And so I think there's a lot of things I'm definitely not good at, but I think, yeah, the first thing is just delegation, because I think as an entrepreneur, as your business, you want to do it all. And so, and as the experts say, you can't do it all. You shouldn't do it all. You should focus on what you're good at. I have a hard time just kind of letting that go because I do like to do it all because it's so exciting and you like to stay interactive and touching all different aspects of the company. But obviously that if you keep doing that, you're going to prohibit the growth. But I think, yeah, I mean, I think like writing and portraying and kind of getting the story out there is one thing I'm really, really bad at. And so luckily we've been able to kind of bring on some good copywriters and some good team members who are able to kind of take my thoughts and take our vision and things like that, put it on words and kind of make it approachable and accessible to our customers, to our community, and to kind of outside people looking in.
Interesting. So the first thing I'm going to say is with the writing, to me, all I've discovered is that you can actually probably be a really good writer, Matt. It's just maybe not good at grammar, which I'm terrible at. But once I get a good editor, it's like, wow, I can write. And just something to think about. Next time you say you're not a good writer is one of the smartest things I've ever heard from a brilliant writer was if you think you're a good writer, you're not. So that really makes it open up that if you say you're a bad writer, it's actually one of the best traits of a good writer is to not think you're good because I think it pushes you forward. But grammar and writing are two completely different things. Totally sidetracked, but that's something that's kind of weighed on me a lot in the past year as I've started writing more. And I've always told myself that I do not know how to write. But apparently I can if you have the right editors. But delegation as a president, obviously, of a company is very much essential. So how long did it take you to realize this about yourself? Or like you said a writer right away because you realized that? Or do you know what I mean? Like did this hold you back? You said you were aware that as like the president and it can sort of hamper growth if like you were trying to touch everything in the business. And I know you like to and you want to, and most people do. And it's probably a good thing for the president to a certain degree. But do you feel that it will hamper growth or that you're going to have to kind of push yourself out of your comfort zone and learn how to delegate better?
Oh, absolutely. I think from the get-go, I don't like, I mean, and that's just my nature, as I like to do it all myself. I mean, I think, which sounds counterintuitive, is I would rather build a business where I'm able to just run the whole business myself. I mean, which is ironic now because I think with Skinny, we have a team of 27 people, but as we grow and as we know, I mean, you've had the different levels of managers. I mean, there are people, it's kind of, I think it's Peterson's law, where you have a manager who's really good at managing a company that's $10 million, and you have a manager who's really good at managing a company that's $100 million and $1 billion. And they're all different levels and different skill sets. And I think the people who are able to manage the really big companies are those who are able just to basically just stay top line vision focused. And it's fantastic. I mean, we love vision. I love creating, like, innovating and having 10 steps of where the company's going to be heading. But I also really like just to diving in, because I love just like to get your hands dirty, which I think is maybe, I don't know if that's ironic, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs like to do that. I was listening to a podcast, and it was a startup in Silicon Valley, and they raised a big equity round financing, and the VC came in. He's like, well, how do you feel you're not going to be doing anything anymore? And the founder was like, well, what are you talking about? He's like, well, yeah, listen. He's like, now we're basically going to replace everything you're doing, and you're just going to be able to talk about vision and strategy. And the guy was like, I had so much anxiety at that moment, because I think when you build a company and you put 3 years into it, like, that's kind of all you know. And so I think, Johnny, you're totally right. It's basically me stepping outside my comfort zone and saying, hey, you know what, now I need to be more of just a visionary leader instead of on the ground in the trenches, getting my hands dirty with the team and finding that balance. And then if I'm not able to do that, we're not going to be able to get to our next sales mark, just because I'm lacking the vision, because I'm just too busy in the weeds. So yeah, I mean, I think you're totally right. And that's something that constantly working on, and just trying to basically pull myself out and just kind of look more at the top level, just because we do have the whole staff that's doing all the things that need to be done.
So interesting, Matt. Like, you, as the president, to push it forward, need to be the visionary leader. You need to pull yourself out, as you say. But at the very, very, very beginning of that, you said that you would prefer to run a company of one person. Just you.
Yeah.
So why? Why are you the president of a 27-person company?
Well, it's because this is our mission, and this is our goal, and this is where we're pushing, and this is what we're passionate about. And this is, I think, that's pushing me outside my comfort zone. And I think as an entrepreneur, the only way that my future ventures and my future companies and our staff, the only way we're going to be more successful is the more I push myself. And so pushing myself out of my comfort zone, because I'm inherently introverted. So that's another point of obviously managing a 27-person staff. That's a good thing. My brother and I make good partners, because he's an extrovert, but he's mostly in Asia. And so that's the difference. And that's pushing yourself outside the comfort zone and just trying to grow and always try to better myself. And so I know since that is one of my weaknesses, which I guess now the research now is just focused on your strengths, I still like to develop that. And so even though I would like to basically run an online company, rock and roll, travel, do all these sorts of things, extremely blessed to be able to, we're in the position we're in, the company that we've grown, but it's also pushing me outside that comfort zone and those boundaries to basically better myself and to be in the person, I think, and the leader that I want to be eventually as the company grows, as the company scales, and for the future ventures. And so that's kind of the common denominator of everything I do, is just putting myself in uncomfortable positions and uncomfortable situations. So yeah, even though I want to do this, I'm doing this because I know this is going to make me a better person. It's going to make our company better. And it's going to make us more successful in the long run.
That was a damn fine answer.
Oh.
to an awkward question.
No, I appreciate it. But I said that, and you're like, you're like, well, why are you doing this if you actually want to be doing this? And it's just, I mean, that was great. I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I had a really good conversation with somebody a few days ago, and she was talking about somebody she had met who was the same age as her, but he had got all this funding and had built this big company, but he literally just wanted a one-person company. And she sort of was asking him, like, how does that make you feel? And he's like, I never wanted a company like this. I never wanted to have to do all these things that I have to do, but I love the person that I've become from it, which is basically what you're saying. The company isn't the end all be all necessarily. It's who it's pushing you to become. And you have a whole life that you can create. You can be a laptop nomadic person with a business in 5 or 10 years if you want.
Yeah.
But you will always be that person you become from where you push yourself at this point. So that was cool, man. All right, let's move, Matt, to projects. Back to this whole opportunity addict, because obviously tons of ideas come across our plate, through our inbox, just through our heads. you now have a company that has a vision and needs to go places. So this probably won't deal with projects as in new project, like outside of this company for you. I'm sure it's just within the company, but how do you decide right now as the president when a new project, and that can be big or small, but something within the company that you guys feel you need to do to grow or to push yourselves, whether it's a written process or an internal process? I would like to know what you go through right now to decide when a project is worth yours and your team's time, energy, and resources.
Yeah, absolutely. I think kind of first and foremost with any project, kind of what I will do basically just personally myself is I'm just going to go try to test it as quickly as I possibly can. So before writing kind of a formal proposal, we're creating a budget for it, developing exactly how it's going to rock and roll, whether that's a new product, whether that's a new service, whether that's a new online platform, even a new affiliate program, I will basically kind of take it on myself after hours to kind of push it out and develop it. And so for instance, if it's a new product and we're launching this new line of skincare products, then I'm going to create those skincare products and I will basically kind of sneak it on our website and I'm going to see if I can sell one or two before kind of the rest of the staff recognizes it. And if I can sell one or two, then I know, okay, this might be something that we can actually invest our time in. And so it's kind of the whole fail fast model. And I think as a company, or as a startup / small business that's kind of growing and more procedures, more development, a way to stay innovative is basically just to always fail fast. And so that's kind of whatever project we're viewing. My internal policy is basically, let me see if this is going to work. If I can prove concept as quickly as possible, even just with one person or with one sale or with some sort of positive connection, then this is something that we can actually build in and create a budget around. And so I think that's kind of, and that may sound crazy. And that I mean, hopefully you're like, hey, that's so counterintuitive. You just need to create more of a budget and a plan. I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. But that's kind of initially with how we've been moving forward is being innovative by basically failing as quickly as we possibly can and then seeing which projects will stick. And then we have a much higher success rate of those projects kind of being pushed through and reaching the end and creating like positive net present value or just positive qualitative equity within the business or the brand. And we've had a much higher success rate that way. And so that's something that's also what I really like to do as well. And so that pairs in nicely with kind of how we manage projects, what we decide to do. And then I encourage my team to do that as well. If someone does have an idea, go test it. They have the freedom, go develop it, go figure it out, see if it's actually going to work before we bring it forward and pitch it as a project. If that makes sense.
It totally makes sense. Fail fast. I like it. And always be sort of pushing it out quickly to just get some feedback. But you mentioned, say, like an affiliate program or a product or, say, customer service. 3 very different, like one's growth, one's like taking care of your existing customers, and then one is the product itself or new product. Do you have them sort of segmented out as in now we're focusing on growth for, say, this month or this quarter, and now we're focusing on like customer retention and now, or is it just sort of when an idea comes, whatever sort of column it fits into, that's where you go for?
So I think it ties into both. So every single month we have a top line revenue goal and we have a bottom line kind of margin increase, margin maintain, EBIT type of target. And so obviously the top line is going to come from the affiliate, from the product development, and then the bottom line is going to come from customer service, customer retention. And then obviously we'll pair back and forth and feed off of each other. And so there's kind of just the different teams. So the marketing team, we're going to say, hey, this is the top line goal. This is the little project we just tested. Let's run with this. And then for our customer service team, it's, hey, we're going to implement this new customer service project or this aspect, or we're going to start giving these kind of rewards or this reward program. And so I think I'm always trying to work on too is basically pairing everything we're doing with our goals, kind of the overarching objectives that we have for whether that month, that quarter, the year, or the next 5 years. And so they're all pairing nicely together. And they're also just always feeding back into kind of our 5 key cultural aspects as well. And so just trying to keep it all. So just basically just build a web. So every single project can tie into every little thing kind of just across the board, across the company.
I like it. It's logical and makes sense. And yet it seems fluid enough for, a quickly growing company, which is probably what you need at this point. So this has been a very, very cool conversation, Matt. I want to wrap up on one final question for you.
Uh-huh.
It's this idea I'm working with calling the entrepreneurial gap. So you've been at entrepreneurship now since 15 or 16 when you first got served and had to stop until now, a 27-person team. And as entrepreneurs, I get the feeling that we never see ourselves personally as quote unquote successful. No matter what we accomplish, from the outside, we can look very successful, but to ourselves, it's always about sort of the next thing. So in 1 month, when you hit that revenue goal, in 3 months, when you hit that product goal, in 6 months, when you stand on that stage or whatever it happens to be, right before you get to that goal, you're going to set 5 or 10 loftier ones into the future. And we end up sort of living in this gap that we've accomplished a ton, yet we always want more, which I totally agree we need to. But like walking towards the horizon, the further you walk, the further away it always gets. So you've accomplished a lot up until this point. You've been at this a long time, Matt, and I'm sure you want to go a lot of places. But looking at the highs, the lows, the wins, and the losses, can you turn and look behind you and tell me how you feel about your whole entrepreneurial journey up until today?
I think you nailed it right on the head. I mean, I think I would say that I just haven't done enough. I don't think that maybe I put in the hours that I should have because I think you literally just quantified it in a way that just makes so much sense. You just had that aha moment for me. So thank you for that. It's the setting the loftier goals. It's the, hey, we just hit $1 million in revenue. Well, we're not at 5 million, so I'm not happy. That is literally how I would quantify since being in here for the past 10 years, kind of doing this day in and day out. It's always looking back and never quite being satisfied or assessing. And I think that's the thing. I think as an entrepreneur, we're always very self-critical, and I think that's good. But I would say now I should probably try to look back and enjoy some of the highlights, but it doesn't seem so bleak. But I think, I think there's always just that wanting of more. And so looking back, I would say I'm not successful, even though I think people looking out was like, oh yeah, you're doing all right for yourself. But I think you nailed it right on the head, John. So I appreciate the wisdom. You literally just surpassed them. You gave me goosebumps. It was fantastic.
Well, from the outside, it definitely looks like you have either hit success or you're definitely on your way to it. So I appreciate your honesty and for sharing with us.
No, absolutely.
So in passing, Matt, we've got to talk about your new business, but could you now specifically tell the listener more about Skinny & Co. and then where they can go find out about the company and about you?
Yeah, absolutely. So Skinny & Company, we are a coconut oil and coconut oil cosmetic manufacturer, brand, and distributor. So we're a vertically integrated company. We have 2 factories in Vietnam. So my brother lives in Vietnam full time. And we bring you products that are true to table. Everything we do is fiberless ingredients. Everything we do is edible, raw, and everything we do, we source ourselves. And so we create the highest quality products for you and your family, basically from the inside out. And so we're kind of creating a healthy lifestyle brand for you where you can trust everything Skinny does is going to basically rock your socks off. And so you can find us more at skinnyandcompany.com or skinnycoconut.com. Or you can also check out locations where we're sold in all 50 states and I think six or 7 countries around the world right now. And so, check us out. You can find more about me on the website or my LinkedIn. It's just at Matt Geddie. And so, connect. If anybody has any questions or advice or they see something that we could be doing differently, always just let us know. Just because, the best part of being an entrepreneur is just communicating with other entrepreneurs, connecting and kind of building that network and building the web of just feeding off of each other. Because, we're all trying to disrupt something and make the world a better place. So it's pretty fantastic.
I love it, man. I love it. Skinnyandcompany.com. And then Matt on LinkedIn. I will link to those in the show notes for you.
Awesome.
So they're easy to find. And do you guys have distribution in Canada yet?
We do. So we're actually sold on Sephora Canada. So at Sephora Canada, we have distribution. And then we're, I think, in probably a couple other 100 stores in Canada.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. I'm going to have to track some of this down. We're a big consumer in my family of coconut oil. We are. So we'll definitely have to try it if we haven't yet. But yeah, Matt, thanks so much again for joining me. Thanks for sharing. And just please keep doing what you're doing, man, because it is awesome and inspiring to watch.
Hey, John, I appreciate it. This has been fantastic. But yeah, thanks for having us on. Thanks for having entrepreneurs on. I listen to your podcast all the time and just the different interactions and then just people just kind of being real and legit. I think that's kind of the biggest aspect within entrepreneurism is saying, hey, we're all in this together and we're rocking and rolling.
Nice. I love it. Thanks, Matt.
All right. Thanks, John.
Matt, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for being honest and sharing and I guess being vulnerable and for letting me push your buttons a bit and prod you a little for the answers that we were trying to get to. And we got to, and it was fun. I appreciate it. And it was It was cool. The conversation got somewhere that I really enjoyed. And I hope you out there enjoyed that as much as I did. I think we learned a lot from how Matt sort of acts within his business and with his new projects, but also the reasons for why he does the things that he does right now. And so I was really looking forward to getting to go back through the conversation. There was 7 spots that I wanted to go back and look through in the 25 minutes that I talked to Matt. And so I went back through and I got it down to 4 spots. So I went back again, I got it down to 2, and then I got it down to 1. The last time there was this one thing that Matt said that was just so very clearly. It just stood out so perfectly to me. Did you get it? Did you hear it? Let's do it. Let's find the hack.
So even though I would like to basically run an online company, rock and roll, travel, do all these sorts of things, extremely blessed to be able to, we're the position we're in, the company that we've grown in, but it's also pushing me outside that comfort zone and those boundaries to basically better myself and to being the person I think and the leader that I want to be eventually as the company grows, as the company scales, and for the future ventures. And so that's kind of the common denominator of everything I do is just putting myself in uncomfortable positions and uncomfortable situations. So yeah, even though I want to do this, I'm doing this because I know this is going to make me a better person. It's going to make our company better. And it's going to make us more successful in the long run.
And that's the hack. Matt. This is it. This is absolutely, fundamentally it. You, as a person, as an entrepreneur, you're thinking, I don't want to say long term as in like maybe 10 years or 20 years from now, but you're not thinking about immediate gratification, right? We start businesses and we want to run businesses that excite us or our passion and that we'll love. And yes, I agree. And that's cool and that's awesome and that can be a great thing. But also we have to push ourselves to grow. Sometimes that involves starting something that makes us uncomfortable because the person we feel or the entrepreneur that we feel we want to become needs to grow in some certain ways. 238 or 339 episodes or something ago, I started Hack the Entrepreneur. I had never interviewed anybody in my life. I was freaked out to speak behind a microphone. I was, truly. You can go back and listen, it's obvious. But I wanted to become the person who was comfortable doing that. There's certain things. The first time I created a software product, I was freaked out. Dealing with designers, dealing with the developers, it was hard. Now it's second nature to me because I have it. And so this idea of doing something because of the person it will allow you to become or enable you to become, rather than thinking that, but that's not the business I want to do right now. But then knowing that that's where you want to be on the other side, you want the outcome from where it is. This is a really cool thing. It's not always about that one particular business. You're not going to start a business today and run it for the rest of your life. It's not going to happen. It doesn't really happen anymore. We go through ideas and projects and businesses. We level up. We go to different plateaus. We build and grow and learn things. Sometimes that's what it takes. It's a skill, learning how to sell things, learning how to generate cash and revenue. It's a skill that needs to be practiced. You need to start that in some way. Even if it makes you uncomfortable and you're not 100% quote unquote passionate about what that might be. And this isn't about you, Matt, right now, because you are passionate about your business and what you want to do. You're also passionate about where it's going to take you as an entrepreneur and your team and your company. And that's awesome. And I really love that idea of doing things that aren't necessarily for today, right now, but thinking like where it will make you go in 6 months or a year or in 3 years and where it will make you grow to. And then the things that you can do when you jump off of that new higher platform. That's huge. And I thank you, Matt, for being honest about that, because I did push you a bit and it was a brilliant answer. And I really, really, really appreciate that sort of foresight and sort of forward thinking that you're using And I know for a fact that it's going to take you huge places, you and your company that you're running right now. So thank you. All right. That was a lot of fun, wasn't it? We're back on a regular schedule. It's cool. HackTheEntrepreneur.com is the website. And I'm back writing every Sunday to you. I would love to have you on the email list. And yeah, I'll be exploring some ideas of entrepreneurship, life, growth, whatever it is we're kind of going through. I'm going to be we're moving to another city. We're moving to Toronto in the end of next month, the end of August. Yeah. So that sort of stuff. I mean, new chapters of life and things, totally uprooting and moving on over there. My family and I, it should be fun, but I'm sure it'll push me to explore some things personally and business-wise, which will be cool. And so, yeah, I'll be discussing that stuff on every Sunday. That's when I'm writing my newsletter to you. Get on the list, HackTheEntrepreneur.com. I will hardly send you anything else ever besides those Sunday emails, and it'd be a great place for you to hit reply, say hi. I don't know, let's talk. It'd be fun. All right. I thank you so much for stopping by. Truly 100% appreciate it. And please, until next time, keep hacking the entrepreneur.